Welcome, and we're going to begin working on Project 3, the class exercise, and we're going to understand the basics of Photoshop, how to use Photoshop, open it, how to open up an image, how to use the menu, the tools, the panel, the workspace, how to work with multiple images, and the basics of composing art in using Photoshop. After this class exercise, you should be able to create your opposing concepts project in the next page of project 3. So the first thing we want to do is go to the Start button and find Photoshop and click on it and open Photoshop in your screen. This takes a few seconds depending on how much you've used Photoshop in the past. Now before we actually begin using Photoshop, you want to make sure you're downloading the three files on your desktop, the string balls 01 JPEG, the hay bales 01 JPEG, and the flowers 01 JPEG. So I've got these on my desktop now, but what I want to do is I want to go and create new, and we're going to have these dialog boxes pop up. So we want to go to pixels over here on inches, and on the width we want to go to 10 inches, and then the height will be 8 inches. The resolution we always want to save as 150 because it prints out very nicely that way. And I'm going to create print art, and we want to be sure that the image itself is again 8 by 10 at 150 pixels per inch, and click create. Okay, so right now we have our workspace, and so I want to go over the workspace and what these things are. The first thing we want to do is go to the menu, and up here on the menu we have various things like new and open and close, export, and you'll notice that on the right you will have Control N, Control O. These are your keyboard shortcuts. We have edit, undo, and notice that copy is Control C, paste is Control V. We have image modes, different modes that you could put your image in. Adjustments, adjustment layers are kind of fun to work with. We could do image size and canvas size. Many of these things we're simply not going to get into for this particular project because these are the basics of Photoshop. So I'm going to give you the specific things we need to do to complete your project. Okay, so here's layer, type, select, and we will be going to modify and feather. Filter, 3D, view, window. Now window is important because this has to do with the panels. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. And if you have any questions, you can go to help. There are also very helpful videos that you've already started to look at on YouTube that will help you with the basics of Photoshop. Okay, this bar here is called the options bar. So depending on the tool that you're using, this is the toolbar right here. So if I'm going to click on various tools, you'll see this option bar changing. Okay, so we're going to be working with the quick selection tool here and the move tool. So every time you do something, this option bar changes. Okay, this is the toolbar. So we have various tools. Today we're going to be using the quick selection tool here and the move tool and the zoom tool. So those three things are the tools we're going to use. Now, throughout this project, or the next project where you're creating art, you may explore and use various tools and really explore this tool of Photoshop. So in addition to what I'm going to instruct you on this video, you can go ahead and use any other tools that you wish. All the way over to the right is the panels. So the panels are things that you're going to need to create art. Now if I go over to Windows And if I don't see my layers panel, I'm going to click on it, and there's my layers panel. Okay, right now it's showing the background layer. Okay. Now the layers panel, or any of these panels, can fly out. So this is the history panel. Now the history panel shows pretty much what you have done in the past. In Photoshop, there is only one undo, but if you want to go back in history and redo some of the things that you have already done, you can go to your history panel. Now all of these panels will undock and redock like so. So if you open one panel like the history and I come over to the swatches, the history goes away and swatches come up. Inside many of these panels, you'll see other sub-panels. So you can go ahead and switch on any of these that you wish to explore. But for now, we are going to use the layers panel. And that's about the only panel, and then maybe the history, but basically the layers panel. And I want to show you the layers panel because it's very important to know how to do this. Okay, so we've opened up Photoshop, and we're going to go to the menu to click on Open. So File, Open. Now this brings me to the desktop. So if I click on flowers and I hold my control key down on my keyboard, I can click multiple files. So I've clicked flower, hay bales, and string balls and open them. Well, sometimes it takes a minute or so to open depending on your machine. So I had opened them previously, closed it, and it's going to take a little bit of time here to reopen them. So we're going to wait and wait for them to open. So it's going to take a little bit of time to open these. And there they are. Okay, so we're going to first of all work on the Bales image. So this is the Bales image right here, and I want to click on the layers panel and undock it, which we have right there. In the tools panel, I want to go to the quick selection tool, and we're going to work in this tool and then also the zoom tool. So what I'd like to do is zoom in on these pumpkins here. I'm going to select this pumpkin first. I'll go back to my quick selection tool, and I'm going to select the pumpkin. So I'm clicking on my mouse, my left mouse. I'm going to go into the stem here, and I've clicked a little bit too much, or selected a little bit too much. What the quick selection tool does is it really goes for the same hue or color and value. So this burlap image here has the same value and color as the pumpkin, so it went beyond what we needed. So I'm going to hold on my Alt key, and you'll see it turns into a minus sign. So I'm going to deselect. Now I can do the same thing up here and click on the minus sign too, but the Alt key I find is real easy to use. So I'm going to go to Select on my menu, Modify Feather. Click OK. I'm going to go Control C or Edit Copy, and then Edit Paste. Now I can go to Control 0. Now you'll notice in the layer, I've got a layer 1 here, which is a layer of the image of the pumpkin. So if I go to my Move tool, I'm going to go to, first of all, I want to go to my background layer and turn it off. And you see there's the pumpkin right there. And then I want to go to this layer here, layer 1, and drag it all the way down to the bottom where the plus sign box, and I've made another copy. So I've got actually two pumpkins there that I can do something with. So I'm going to go to my Move tool all the way to the left of your screen, or V is the keyboard shortcut, and I can begin to move these in other places. within the composition. Okay, so we've moved the pumpkins to a different location on the photo. Okay, now what I want to do is another way to create copy and paste. So I'm going to take my Alt key and hold it down. You'll see a double-headed arrow, and I'm going to just click my left mouse key and move this. So I just showed you another way to do a quick copy and paste, and that is with holding your Alt key down and showing that double-headed arrow like so. Okay, now we want to click the left mouse button and we want to copy and paste the new pumpkin uh, into um, into place like we did there. Okay, next we want to do is we want to click on the string balls image right here. We're going to do the same thing where we're going to select the string balls. Now remember, sometimes you're going to select more than you want, and we're going to go in there and hold the Alt key down and deselect some of those areas. Now, by the way, some of these brushes or um, the quick selection tool is controlled up here by the size, so I can make this bigger or smaller. You can see it's a little bit bigger now, and I'm going to hold my Alt key down and deselect some of these areas here. I can go back and forth. Now, Photoshop is fairly intuitive, and it will go and select that edge that you really are looking for. So here we have the string ball selected, and I want to go to Select, Modify, Feather. And we've already done that already. This is a little bit of a review. So if I go to Edit, Copy, now I'm in the string balls JPEG. I want to click on the Hay Bales image and I want to go to Edit, Paste. And there it is there. Okay, once I've got that in there, what I want to do is to make that a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go to the menu, Edit, Transform, and Scale. And I can go to the corner. Let's try that again. Edit, Transform, Scale. There it is. And I'm going to hold my Shift key down and I can make it smaller. The reason why you want to hold your Shift key down is it should keep it in, no, don't hold your Shift key down in this case. Okay, so I've got the string ball there, and I'm going to hit Enter. So I've got a string ball there. I'm going to go to my Move tool, click on Alt, wait for my double-headed arrow, and I can copy and paste these. So what I'd like to do is where it says Layer 2 Copy, Layer 2 Copy 1, Layer 2 Copy 2. So I'm going to take Layer 2, hold my Shift key down and select Layer, all these layers here, and come up to my File menu, and I want to come down here to Merge Layers. Now I've got everything here on one layer. Okay. Now finally, what I'd like to do is go to um, Flowers 1 JPEG, and we're going to quick select one of the flowers up here, and a lot of this is beginning to repeat itself. So I've selected the flower, select, modify, feather, yes, and then I'm going to go copy it. I did that on my keyboard, Control C, and then up here I want to paste it down. Okay, and I can right click and I can go to Free Transform and I can scale that down like so, and I can put this flower right there by the pumpkin. I'm going to hit Enter and select that. I'm going to go back to Flowers 1 again, and then Control D will deselect, or I can go to Select up here, deselect. There's Control D right there, deselect, okay? And then I'm going to select a different flower. Control C will copy it, go back to the hay bales, Control V, and it's kind of big, so I'm going to hover over my image with my Move tool and select it, I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Scale, and there's the Scale tool. And I'm going to come down here and make that a little smaller, hit Enter, and move it over here. Go to another, well, first of all, I want to deselect, go to a different flower with my quick selection tool. Now here I could right click, feather, and click OK. So I don't have to go to my menu every time. Control C on my keyboard, and then Control V will paste, right click, and then I can free transform and scale it down and hit enter. And with my move tool up here, I'm going to move this over, and I want to do that one more time. Flowers, and one of the images that I didn't select over here, I'm going to go to my quick selection tool. I think this one here needs to be selected, and right click, feather, OK, Control C, and Control V will paste it. Oh, I got two. I don't want to do that. Control Z will undo. So if I go to Edit, Undo, so that was Control Z. Edit, Undo, Control Z. So let's go back to flowers, and I want to Control D, deselect, and then I want to, with my quick selection tool, do that one more time and feather it. OK. Control C is copy, hay bales. Control V is paste, and there is the flower. And I want to right click right away, and I want to go to free transform, and I want to scale it down. So hopefully I have different flowers, and we're putting them in various parts in the photo. Okay, so the last thing I really want to show you is I'm going to create a flower border using various um, flowers that we got here. And it's really simple, but one of the things that I want to show you is that each of these has layers has a flower on it. So we're going to be choosing from different layers, okay? And I'll start with layer 2 here, and I want to select this flower here, hit my Alt key. Here's the double-headed arrow, and I'm just going to sort of move this around the edge in various ways, sort of irregular rhythm, and come around the image, and I want to move, redock this panel so I can see what I'm doing, okay, and just keep copying and pasting it around. We're going to go back to that layers panel in just a little bit, and I'm just creating a sort of a border with this flower, and every time I do that, let's go back to the layers, you'll see that it made a layer copy. See this? So I want to go to layer 2 copy, and then all the way up to layer 2 copy 20, hold my shift key down and select all those, go up to my layers panel, and we're going to merge layers, okay? And I kind of move that all the way up on top here. So if I click on that, all of those border flowers go away. And that was in layer 2. So I'm going to go to layer 3, okay? And layer 3 is right there. You can see it go on and off. I'm going to go and with my selection tool, hover over that flower, hit the Alt key down, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did before with this flower. Now I'm just going to make a border and try to kind of fill it in and do this as many times as I can to make it sort of a kind of a nice fancy flowery type of a border, and you got to be right on the image to do this. So now I'm going kind of quickly, so I have to be very careful that I do this correctly. I'm going to go ahead and make that go away. Okay, so that's that layer. I'm going to open up my layer again. So anytime where it says layer 3, copy, I'm going to go ahead and hit my shift key and select all of them. and merge layers. So I've got this one, and then I'm going to put that one on top as well. Go to layer 4, and that's that flower there. So I'm going to hit my Alt key and just keep filling this in. Now they're getting kind of tight, so I just hit Control Z. If I need to come back there again, and so I'm going to go to the beginning one and copy and paste this and try to fill in my border with these flowers. So I'm just going to keep doing this over and over again until it sort of fills in like a border. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to go to layer 4, copy 2, and layer 4, copy 5, hit my shift key, and merge layers like so, and push this up in front. So I've got layer 5 is that flower there. So I'm going to turn it on, hold my Alt key down, and again, copy and paste. Now it's getting kind of tight. So I'm going to go to the source every time. Let me do this. And there we go. And just fill it in. I can go to the same one. Sometimes when you're reaching for it, it doesn't select exactly what you're trying to select there. So there's there, and just keep filling it in. We're going to get a nice flowery border, and that should be a nice flowery border. We've got a couple more here we can do, and I'm just going to select more of those. And just fill in. Nice, beautiful little flowery border. And this is just one way to create a piece of art. And basically the techniques I'm showing you are the techniques that I want you to work on when doing your pieces of art. So we're going to have various layers going on. You want to keep those layers. So we have layer 5, copy 21. I'm going to hit the shift key and then come all the way over here to layer 5, copy, and I don't want to copy into layer 2 or 3 or 4. So layer 5 copy, and then go to merge layers, and all of these then should be, if I turn this off and off and off, we have various borders here that we can work with. Now we can merge those together as well. So layer 5 copy, hold my shift key down, and layer 4 copy. And I'm going to come up here and merge those layers. So now we've got a minimal amount of layers here, and you can see how, we could turn all these off, and these things begin to disappear, and we're ending up only with the original image. So I'm going to turn the layers back on. And this is our composition. It's an interesting composition using repetition. We have a nice flowery background. And what I want to do now is I'm going to select this layer. Now I can do various things with the layers and kind of switch positions, but for now I'm going to leave it alone. Select it so there's a lighter gray. I'm going to come up over here where it says normal. Now these are called blending modes. So if I click on the blending mode and click on dissolve, you'll see a blue border around the blending mode. And then I'm going to take my down key on my keyboard and start to click on it. And you'll see that there's various effects when they blend. So this multiply blends right with the image. We see the background image showing through. We can do the color burn, linear burn, which is really interesting, and darker color and lighten. We can almost see the images of the flower border showing very through. This is a linear dodge. So I'm just going to overlay is a very interesting effect. Soft light is a very interesting effect. Hard light. Okay, so we can go through all of these. Difference is kind of the opposite. Exclusion is kind of opposite. Subtract is opposite. Okay, divide. So it's a different kind of effect. So just know that these are over here and that you could utilize these things to your liking. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and go to screen. I really like this idea where it says screen, and actually I'm going to go to linear burn, and let's go to linear burn. Let me find linear burn. I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, once I've done that, I'm going to go to File, Save As, and save on your computer. And we're going to go to the desktop, save this on the desktop, and then we're going to call this composition '01. And then what I'd like for you to do is put your last name in front. So this is my last name and composition '01, and then save it. Okay? And then finally, I want you to go to File, Save As one more time, and save on your computer. And it's going to show Composition '01 already on your desktop. And then go to File, Save As, and hit JPEG. Now, this particular image you're going to save now is the image that you're going to submit on Canvas so that I can see it. I also want you to upload the Photoshop file on Canvas so that I can open that file and see all of your layer work and things over here. So I won't be able to see the Photoshop file, um, the image of that on Canvas, but I will be able to see the JPEG image that you've submitted. So that is the end of my tutorial, and the same instructions are on Project 3 class exercise on Canvas. So have fun with this and just explore. I kind of went through it relatively quickly, but this will give you a really good idea of how to use the basics of Photoshop. So I'd like to thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you with the next project.